Some active recovery. Nice walk, just pacing. And this 28-pound rucksack backpack. Engage from here. Circle in the back. squats. Angle. That's 5 sets. Different angles. Gonna walk. Do some leg curls and circle back around. Get some hamstrings. Alright, I gotta walk and hamstring stretching, pop my hip a little bit. A little stretching. I would take you in the other room, but it's hard to set it back up. Maybe in the future, if I can get back on the 360, figure out how to do that. Let's do another one. Oh yeah, that was good. Gonna go walk. Walnuts. So we're going to do some squats. Going to the 8th set here. Nine if you count both sides. I've got an alternative rope to get that. Get more water, but we're still got water. That was John. He wants to do that there. Good. Perfect. That's 8 sets. All right, let's walk around a little. My son's writing his sci-fi book, and he's won 2 major awards through Get It, the L. Ron Hubbard Achievement Award Of course, right? Oh yeah, you know why it's bad quality? Because my phone service is being cut off today. But this is what I do when I go in the other room, is I walk. I'm doing an active recovery. So that was 8 sets, lower body. Really feeling it today. Got a lot of training days in this week, and contemplating if I'm going to do 4 sets now to revisit my upper body, and then be able to go back in, save enough, and do another exercise based on squats, hamstrings, and then I'll get standing calf raises throughout the week. Those really bring my calves up, and then work in a single leg, at first dual leg donkey calf raise, which I can lean right here on my elbows and do a perfect aligned donkey raise. Yeah, and I understand if you're cutting out. Sometimes I'm appalled by the quality. It's just so weird. So I think we'll be doing a pull up, a push up for the upper chest, and a curl, like the broomstick curls, right? So you got the pull up, the weighted pull up, and the broomstick curls to revisit an intense little bicep moment. And then you got, I'm gonna try doing an inverted TRX press. Yeah, again, if you left and came back and the quality's bad, sorry. This is like my last live in a few days, or maybe for a while. Got a phone bill to pay, might pay it, might not. Not sure what's going on. But either way, I'll post. I'll be posting up. I'll just be doing, recording my sessions and posting them up. So they won't be into the live stream. And maybe they will. Maybe they will in a few days. I don't know. It's a toss-up. All right, I feel my active recovery coming down. This is really good for zone training. Like, this is how you kick in your circadian rhythm. And so when you're looking at stroke volume and you're talking about hitting maximum oxygen uptake, thereby maximum oxygen diffusion, right? You want to incorporate a little bit of aerobic active recovery. It just shifts things, right? It shifts toward slow twitch fibrage. It slows things down. It allows your circadian rhythm and your metabolic rate to just sort of adjust. And they are our neurohormone prompts. That is what's occurring. So you want to make sure that all your electrolytes are present, calcium ions, right? For that actin-myosin. Obviously, you're going to need to balance that out with magnesium, right? Phosphorus has to be there, choline, right? So that's why we recommend that particular supplement there, 1000 volts, where you're getting your electrolytes and the supportive nutrients. I think I'm breathing so hard because my body wanted to take a rest today and I didn't let it, right? It wants to do 2 off, 1 on with the increased intensity. So I'm really trying to amp up my frequency. And honestly, once you start to do that, your body adjusts pretty quickly. But you always, when you're raising your intensity level up, that is using more resistance, doing more pinpointed exercises for growth, even pre-fatiguing like I do, you want to make sure that you are getting ample recovery. You will be surprised at what you're costing yourself when you are not focusing in on your diet. And your muscles are filled with glycogen. They're filled with carbohydrates. And there is a minimum, typically 1 pound of glycogen accompanies 3 to 4 pounds of water, okay? So that's 5 pounds of water in your system for your average person. And that's what you want to keep up on. If you're trying to aesthetically, hypertrophically change yourself, morphologically drive, the aesthetic aspect, you have to focus on at least 125 to 150 grams of protein, okay? Even ChatGPT is trying to jump on the bandwagon and saying 150 to 100 or 225. That's if you're cutting back on your carbohydrates. So there's a big discrepancy here. And you honestly are just throwing a lot of money away because you're not going to see any change. You might get a little harder, right? And I understand there's a lot of protein advocacy. I used to do G&G, gluconeogenic protein fast, for 10 years. So trust me, I'm aware of how much my body needs, and I would take in up to 800 grams in a day. I'm not lying, I'm not embellishing, because that's all I took. Some days I'd take like 20 scoops of protein, right? I would just drink water, drive limousines, and every hour I would take in another pre-made shot of protein powder, and I was shredded as F, okay? But gotta understand, when you're young, you are burning today, right? You're burning today, and therefore you're burning all your tomorrows. You want to get to a place where it's sustainable, and so 70% carbohydrates are going to bring you to that place, and you're going to need to meet your resting energy expenditure and your energy out, which means, to use the equation, very simple, 0.45 times your body weight in pounds times 24 hours for men, 23 hours for women. That really gives you your kilograms of mass, right? But what that does is it gives you your base resting energy expenditure. Now at 195 pounds, 200 pounds, I'm right around 2,000 calories. So I'm going to add 50% back on that number based on my energy output, and I need to have a reserve put in there to build that lean muscle tissue. It's not like that down the road. So you can cut way back on your calories. That's why you'll hear people who've been training for years and years, and they're only taking in 2,200 calories a day, and they already have the muscle. They're meeting their training requirements. Muscle's on. Capillary bed density is established after 6 months, okay? So you get through that first 6 months of hard-won muscle, and you're just going to see that growth continues as long as you're creating what Lee Haney expertly, look how young he looks. He expertly recognized that pre-fatigue is at the center to muscle growth, okay? Pre-fatigue. Now, you're not going to need to do that, especially me, the shape I'm in right now, and the shape I'm going to get in is, you want to get to the place where you're not fatigued, pre-fatigued, without fatiguing at all. In other words, your base metabolic rate, your energy exchange, and your MET levels, okay? So most bodybuilders look past their metabolic equivalent units, but you should be humming around 35 to 40 MET levels if you want to be fit. You're going to see that directly cross-correlate. Now, I would estimate most bodybuilders are 25 METs or under, okay? And this is all about energy, joules, watts. That's what it's all based on. That's what carbohydrates are. They're allowing this electron transport chain to exist, right? The Krebs cycle, the building up and the breaking down of tissues, morphogenesis, the remodeling, recomposition. That's what we want. We want to get into that shit. We want to morphologically improve and develop ourselves. All right, I feel like I got a good recovery. My blood flow's just now starting to get systemically dispersed. Everybody's a little different. Okay? And now I'm going to just go in raw and do a pre-fatigue set with the backpack for pull-ups, and then I'm going to drop. Maybe I'll get 3, maybe I'll get 6. Some days maybe I'll get none. Maybe I hit the tank. It's just that way. Then I come back tomorrow and I do it again. Okay? So let's set that back up, see if we can anyway. All right. See if it gets along with us. So we just need to keep it over kind of that way. Sorry. about that. I'm figuring out better ways, and hopefully there will be. And I'm gonna ask my son to print me out a YouTube sign to put over that, maybe even with my logo. I don't know. I like this channel. I've got, you know, way more subs on my other channels, but I don't like the channels. I don't like them. This is somewhere in the middle. You don't want to get too esoteric, frou-frou, woo-woo, and you don't want to get frou-frou like Rogue Beast Warrior, which could be a much bigger channel that didn't represent who I am. All right, let's do this. We're just going all out one set. Let's do it. Let's rest. It's hard. It's 235 pounds. Right there, pull-ups. Oh, yeah. I felt it. It was sloppy, but I felt it. I forced it. I forced it. Sipping on some tea and water. I'm gonna walk and recover. That's where I've been. Yeah, so in a minute or so, I'm gonna do the same thing with the backpack, but with TRX rollout suppressives. This is really hard. It looks easier than it is. I urge you to give this a shot. You could make your own TRX. I'm not telling you to, but I'm going to show you. I'm not saying trust me, but I got these. Where the heck did they go? Oh, here they are. So I got 2 of these on Temu for bargain basement, right? I put the carabiner there. I don't even remember how much I paid for those, but I don't even think they were $5. All right, we're gonna walk a little bit. This is how you do it, no steroids. Old as fuck. At home. Minimal equipment. So I want to allow for maximal recovery. That's what people don't notice. You watch the burpee channels, you don't realize how wrong they are. I'm not a fan of burpees. You'll notice that they just keep getting smaller, and it's hard for them to do high reps. Like even the guys who do 1,000 push-ups, they can't do multiple push-ups in a row. So it's become aerobic. The exercise has become aerobic. And for women and aerobic athletes, they like that. It appeals to them, right? So you really have to think about, I'm not an aerobic athlete. I'm really anaerobic. But you can change that. You can morphologically shift and change that. It doesn't mean, like, I've tested people that never really trained at a net level of like 60. And when I tested them, I'm like, what the fuck is going on with you? You would never have guessed it. And I'm like, do you work out all the time? And they're like, no, in fact, I'll just go run the beta breakers or the whole marathon without training. They're like, I don't run fast, but I keep going. I enjoy it. It's not really that challenging. For me, that's why I walk. Walking is the perfect thing to do when you're doing anaerobic exercise. All right. I feel it's usually about 3 minutes. And that's the biggest test, whether or not you are more anaerobic, is how long it takes to recover for your breathing to normalize, which could be measured in your heart rate, right? So that's what zone training is all about. All right, this is going to be very interesting. Let's see what we got, okay? Let's see what we got. Man, I don't want to do this. Right now, I hate this. I fucking hate this. Didn't I just do this? Jesus. One set. My shoulder's really bothering me. It always does, so let's try it. Let's get a little closer. Let's get a little closer and just ease our way in. All right. My core's gone. My core's gone. Let's see if we can do it. My core. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Take it or leave it. That was harder than I wanted it to be. Whew. My God. Yeah. Damn. That was fucking very fucking difficult. My core is just screaming. That's good. Was gonna do roll off. I'm like, no way. So my body's still recovering from the prior workouts this week. And needless to say, I think my upper body was very surprised that I was going to hit it again in such a way. Shoulders, arms, everything. So that's a form of pre-fatigue, right? You know, when you're talking about DOMs. So I'm 48 hours, not even 36 hours post intense shoulder and arm training, where I needed another 1 to 2 days to fully recover. So that's what that got me. And that's like a mini workout, right? And then this is active recovery. So crucial, so important. You're tapping into the fat while your phosphagen system is trying to replace that creatine for the next attack, anaerobic attack. Your aerobic system takes over to keep facilitating you to recover and move. So if I was to keep walking like this, right, at a very slow pace, long, slow distance, it would be optimal for fat burn. Optimal. And if you were to do a set of push-ups while you're walking, recover for 10, 15 minutes, then do some sort of back exercise or something that's going to balance it out, and you just do that throughout your whole walk, that is the secret to fat burn and sculpting, is to blend in long, slow distance with higher output training, where if you want to see aesthetic changes, you need to do more reps, more intensity in any given set. That's the difference between what we're doing here, all the hard breathing, but why the muscles are considerably more pronounced is because it's all about glycogen replacement and repair, replenishment. 100%. And those guys doing burpees and so forth, you would think they would just blow up, right, if they stopped training. The opposite happens, is all that inflammation and all that overuse, they end up getting injuries. After about 3-4 days, they notice aches, pains. So really, the way they're keeping going is just pumping water every 3 to 5 reps that they do into that area and not overtaxing it. So what you have is you have a very weak ligament connective tissue that can't endure or handle higher intensity stress. Your body adapts in the line of force. In the line of force. Whew. I think that's good for today. I was thinking about doing a set of curls, but I might visit all that tomorrow, because what I was thinking about doing today, before the legs just kicked my ass, was doing higher reps, doing more of a sculpting workout where I'm dropping back and really trying to shape the muscle. So that's going to be the next workout, is hitting at least 15, 17 sets of body sculpting, where might even do that with my old fat ass shirt off and try that from there. All right, bless you. Be well. We'll see you on the next one.